once when I spoke of you in the same old jeans and those old dirty boots. Took 7 days, now I'm on the move to saddle up and ride with you. Met you in a hotel room, rode with me to the venue. Met your daddy the next day, talking trash and played video games. Hate the streets of New York City when you're not there to walk home with me. Was it meant to be?
Her title is People Person. She's a people person. Lindsey and I go way back. She's one of the reasons that I'm here today. And so I'm very proud that...
Not his mom.
No, not that. It's one of the reasons I'm here in Austin. Goodness me. All right. I'm just going to read now, and I'll tell them about that afterwards. Well, she's hailing from Austin. She's a 20-year people and HR leader. Her roots are in communication design and full-service HR, and that's born the branches of a creative, human-centered people leader. So that's who she is, right? People person or human-centered people leader. She's equipped and enabled companies of all sizes and ownership models to build environments where people want to work. When I moved here, it was because I took a job at a company that Lindsey was working at, and she literally helped my family get here. So she is that type of person. She was getting paid for it, yes, but she really was lovely about it. To speak on the intersection of creativity and rise, please welcome Lindsey Ducroz.
Thank you. Oh, good morning. Hello. Are y'all crazy for coming out at 8 a.m. to listen to HR? I am like, what? Whenever Ben said, we have a wait list, I was like, did they read my bio? I don't know. I don't feel like, I feel like I should maybe take the platform and do a little like harassment and discrimination prevention training or something. I don't know. No, maybe, nah, well, I won't do that. All right, so let me get started. I know I don't have a ton of time, but thank you very much. Is the artist, is Miss Crit here? Is she local to Austin, or they are? Tampa. Oh, okay. All right. Well, shout out to the artist. Big claps for the artist, because this is beautiful. And I had to use it in my own deck because it was just gorgeous. So, all right, Rise. First, before we get into kind of, I think what I always do, which is try to simplify the complex, a little bit about me. Nice to meet you. I've been in Austin since 2001. I came here to go to school at Texas, Hookham, and I studied public relations and advertising, and I very quickly discovered that I did not want to write press releases and do crisis comms and or do ad campaigns for clients for the rest of my career, but I didn't want to leave my classmates who I like look out into the audience and I'm like, who are all of you? Like, I didn't want to leave the creative world behind at school. So I got a gig at GSD&M, which is where I met Ben, and I was there for about 8 years, worked in HR, because I wanted the creative community to be my clients. So I kind of just forced my way into that. And then after 8 years at GSD&M, I left, went to a small PR boutique firm called Enviromedia, which is no longer in existence, but it was a small, kind of the anti-big company. They worked on, green campaigns, social campaigns, a lot of stuff with the state of Texas, doing a lot of public health work, and I really loved that environment. I was with them for about a year, and then I started a queso business. Ben is right, I do like queso. I very quickly realized that I like to consume queso and not capitalize on queso. So I did a few things at the X Games and with some companies, and I'm still a big fan of queso, so I'll talk about cheese viscosity and melting qualities to anyone, and what the best pepper is, Serrano. And so I did that for a hot minute, and then I was lucky enough to get connected to a little company here in Austin, but a big company globally called Frog Design. And Alexis is over there. Met Alexis at Frog. And I was in HR there for about 8 years, helped the company go to Latin America, to Mexico City, which is just one of the most beautiful places in the world. And I got exposed to a global creative community that was just so intoxicating. So, yeah, and I did a couple of career experiments, I call them. I jumped over to Favor Delivery for a hot minute for about 9 months, and then for the last year and a half I've been with Outdoor Voices, kind of as their fractional HR leader. Every single career move I've made has been, there have been two directions I could have gone. I could have kind of wallowed in safety, or I could have kind of pressed forward and risen above the noise or what I considered a defeat, and just pushed forward and made it a next career move for me. So Rise does resonate with me because I feel like I've been doing that. Hindsight's 20/20, but I've been doing that kind of throughout my career. I think a lot of us do that throughout our career without even knowing it. So whether we do it intentionally or unintentionally, we are where we are today because we have risen above all of the experiences that we've had in our careers. So I do love enchiladas. I do love a good joke. I do have a dog and a daughter and a husband, and we live out in Wimberley. So thanks for having me here. All right. So a creative once told me, and I say this because it kind of provides a little bit of structure to my slides. But, and I'll name the creative, Mariah Garrett Moulton. Does anybody know Mariah Moulton? She is the former Chief Design Officer at USAA. She's now the VP of UX at Google. I was working with her at Frog, and, you know, we were talking about performance reviews, which is everybody's favorite topic. And she said, we were talking about the merits of having a structured performance review versus having a very fluid, open feedback session kind of performance review, and she said, look, I know this is going to sound a little sacrilegious, but creatives thrive best with some structure, right? Some structure. Not a lot, but at least some boundaries. And so she gave me the great analogy of, you know, building a product or an HR product, a process, with rubber band walls, not cinder block walls. And I thought that was really a great way of, I thought it was a great framing of how to kickstart creativity, or how to kind of like kickstart your action or your bias towards action and move in a certain direction, whichever direction you want to go. You have to have some sort of structure. So, and then there's another wonderful creative. She's not in this audience, but Jenny Savage. I don't know if anybody knows Jenny Savage in this room, but she is an incredible designer who has a framework that she calls Elemental Models, and she talks about the frameworks that help her as a creative kind of unlock her creativity. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to do a framework then for how I've kind of navigated rising through adversity and getting to my next level, whatever that level has been. So yeah, bear with me on a quick framework, and hopefully you get something out of this. And it's great to see that there's a coach here who helps people overcome their own barriers as well. So maybe some of this resonates. So what you see from your seat is some keynote clip art up there. I'm not a designer. That's why I love all of you. But you know, whenever you look at someone at the peak of their career, or anywhere in their career, or from where you sit, you're comparing and you often see something that looks like they've attained this height. You don't have the context for how they got there. And what I want to do is just zoom in on the messy part. So this is actually what it looks like, not quite like that, but I have the limitations of Keynote clip art. But a lot of climbing, a lot of crawling, a lot of sitting, a lot of backward dancing, if you want to call it that, a lot of uncertainty, and that, a lot of us, look at our careers or look at each other's careers, and we're taking that zoomed out look. We're like, oh, look at how they've climbed. LinkedIn is great at making that line super straight for everybody, right? Because we don't talk about the middles and the little dips and maybe the backwards stuff that we've done in LinkedIn. So anyway, I just like to point out, and businesses are like this too, right? Like if you look at business trajectories and they're like up and to the right, if you double click into those and you zoom in, it's often very jagged. It looks like ups and downs, backwards, forwards, upside downs. So the way that I've approached this throughout my career, knowing that it's inevitable, is to move. And so I put here, like, when faced with a challenge, I do something else. I move. I don't physically move, although I did move to Wimberley in the pandemic because I just needed to get out of Austin. But I move through it. So the destination is a product. What you see, where you get, is a product of movement, perseverance, and a high adaptability to change. So I just want to do a quick, clean dissection of a change curve. Has anybody seen these words? Does anybody know what these words belong to? Grief. Yep. Exactly right. Kubler-Ross, modelnetics. Oh, there's so many different ways to frame the change. And so your path to rising, I believe, and there's many paths, but is how quickly you get through these phases. And I just, offer a couple of quick tips for how to do that. Do y'all just love my clip art? And some emojis too. Yeah, I'm telling you, I should have stayed in design school, right? This person walking, this can be me. I'll just be walking, and the banana peel, and we'll call this like the status quo line, right? Like this is status quo. This is you, who you are today. Kind of making your way. And then the banana's a change, and it's a change, and it doesn't have to be a drastic change. It can be a very small change. It can be a piece of feedback that's critical that you take personally. It could be not getting a promotion. It could be a car accident, God forbid, but something that you weren't expecting in your status quo of the day, and that's your banana. And you go through a sometimes very quick, sometimes very long, sometimes very short and painless, sometimes very painful change curve whenever you hit these dips or these blemishes in your status quo, so to speak, although we won't look at them as blemishes. So, and down here in the bottom is a pit. I always say you can't skip the pit. It's the valley of despair. And this is where you don't feel like you can get up or out of the situation that you're in. But I do like to offer some practical steps for how you might do that, and it is through action. And I think there are, to put it at a very high level, two types of actions. There's talking, and then there's physical movement. Not doing physical cartwheels unless you can and want to do cartwheels, but that's my icon for movement. So if you look at the change curve and you look at the different, feelings or states of being that are along a change curve, you have shock. You have denial, you have frustration or anger. Depression is down there in the pit. On the other side of those things, you do have the fun part, which is experimentation with the idea or the possibility of a new reality for yourself or a new direction. You have the acceptance of that. That's where you're picking up momentum. And then you finally have commitment. And when you get to the new heights, your new status quo, then you look backwards and you're like, whoa, okay, I was here, down there, and now I'm here. And that's, I mean, I'm not saying anything that's groundbreaking here at all and nothing that all of you don't already know, but to me, whenever I'm down in the valley or if I'm in kind of that slope that's leading into what I know is certain to be a change I can rise from, it helps me to like name the part of the curve that I'm in and then actually try to take steps to get out of it. So I do a lot of this with organizations that are stuck in a one way of working or one way of being. I do this a lot with employees at companies who are trying to get a promotion or maybe have just gotten some pretty harsh feedback or got put on a performance plan, whatever that looks like. And we get this out and we just we name where we are on the curve, because we all are on the curve at some point right now. And for shock, that's just physical movement. And so initially, when you have the change happen to you, or you're part of the change, you're shocked by it. Moving your physical body actually does create momentum in your aura and in your energy. So I always say, if you're shocked, go run, or go play pickleball, or just get out and do some arm circles. Roll your head, just move your body and create an energy and a friction in your space to get loose. And maybe that's part of breaking, the creative writer's block or whatever you have. And then after the shock wears off, because if you do that, you'll move through these others pretty damn fast. But if you don't, and you want to sit in that shock for a minute, you might quickly process into denial. When you're in denial, you're making excuses, right? Well, that happened because of this reason, it wasn't my fault, and that very well may be true, but those are all self-narratives that we do give ourselves to keep us in this part of the curve. And so I always say talk to people, talk to your neighbor, talk to a stranger, talk to your coach, talk to your partner, talk to a friend about why you might be in that space, and be open to actually, a different point of view and somebody sharing their perspective that is something you didn't see before. Again, your quickness to address yourself and your own body and your own mind in those first two steps really kind of give you momentum in how quickly you get through the pit. Frustration, move your body. Depression, I say talk and move, and I'm not using the clinical term depression here, but more or less just kind of the feeling of, I don't know what I'm gonna do next, hopeless, helpless, defeat, kind of, I don't know how to get out. Talk and move, and others have been and are here all the time, and some are still here and some are in their journeys trying to get out. So learn from each other. Experimentation is talk to other people about what they've done to, get out of this moment in their career or their life. Acceptance is your momentum. Keep going. That climb. Somebody do like Peloton or anything like that, where you turn it up to what's the max, and you just can't, your legs are jello and they're gonna fall off, and you just have to keep going, and you almost have to get it out of your mind. That's where you don't get your mind messed up with your body. Acceptance is pure movement. You're just going, you're hustling. And commitment, to me, is talking about what you did and sharing it with others, because that is the beauty in the change curve, is it multiplies. You get it back tenfold when you share it, when you communicate, and commitment to me is communication. It's communicating out what you've done. So thanks for having me. I think rising is growth in total, and I think growth is up, it's inward, it's out, and it multiplies exponentially when shared. So I just want to express my gratitude for this community in Austin that I've been very lucky to be a part of for 20 years that I am obsessed with the creative energy of this city. It's why I haven't left, and it's why I'm still here, and it's why I still show up for all of my clients in the creative space day in and day out. So yeah, pass it on. I'm glad to be here, and I really love Angel White's music. I've been listening to it since yesterday. I love the red blanket, and I also really kind of want to wear your warm sweater. That looks very nice. Yeah. Anyway, thanks. You'll have a great Friday and a great weekend.